Hi, wonderful people. Can you all hear me? Good evening and good morning, good afternoon, depending on your location. So today is another amazing day. In our effort to constantly keep our community members engaged, we kicked off a study series focusing on DevOps last week, Saturday, and we are continuing today. Today is the second day, and this section is brought to you by the Microsoft Azure Nigeria community, and we are a focused user group community that aim to train and enlighten members and what they need to know about Microsoft Azure and the related IT open source tools. So today we are going to be looking at managing your source code with Git. Before I will introduce the speaker, and um, and I would like to know where you are joining us from, and I would like to know where you are joining us from, and also if you are joining us from maybe Lagos, feel free to drop that in the chat section, or you're joining us from outside Nigeria, or anywhere, even if it's within Nigeria, just feel free to let us know and maybe tell us some story of what's happening in your environment at this time. So I'll be bringing our wonderful speakers soon. I just want us to join. Uh, so, in the world of cloud computer and cloud computing, so we have Microsoft Azure has taken the lead, and also there's need for you and I to learn the skill at the early stage, so that we'll be able to stand the chance in the marketplace. And you cannot, as a matter of fact, you are a cloud person or a cloud engineer, managing what's called Git is important. It's a very important topic when it comes to DevOps related and cloud. So knowing these things will enable you to know how to manage, collaborate in your project, and also understanding the CI/CD best practice and all that. So without much ado, I would have like to bring in our amazing speaker in the person of Raphael Momo. Raphael, hi, how are you doing today?
I'm very fine. Thank you very much, Mo. I'm excited to be with you all. It's a wonderful day. The sun is shining. Yes,
Yes.
I think the heat has reduced. How is the heat in Lagos?
Uh, yeah, the heat has really reduced. Yeah, we are having fresh air now. We're having fresh breeze, kind of. So it's really nice now. So nice to have you anchor the section for today,
Thank you very much.
Raphael. And for the audience, Raphael is a Microsoft Azure MVP with numerous years of experience in the field of DevOps and cloud. So he's well experienced. So one things I usually do as I'm moderating the section today, after when Raphael will start, I will jump on my computer, I will practice along as he's doing it. So that's the best way to learn. So get closer to your computer, or if you are not with your laptop, get a pen and paper to jot down some things that will help you in your DevOps goal and all that. So Raphael, thank you very much. I'll be leaving the floor for you right
No,
now.
no problem. No
I
problem
wish you
at
all the
all.
best.
Thank you.
Okay, before I go, what do you expect what is the expectation like? What should the audience expect to
Okay, so
gain out of this section today?
yes, that's a very good question. So I did a little research and I discovered that we have a lot of newcomers in our community. So I took the topic a little bit. So I want to go from the basic of the basic because I think that the series is all DevOps. Okay, so I want to take it from the
Uh,
beginning. I'll get to some points, no more slides. It will be all hands on. So we're going to download Git
got it.
Bash and do it all practical, push to GitHub and write our .git ignore. We're going to do it very. It's going to be a really practical session. Yes.
That makes sense. Thank you very much for that. I look forward to your section. Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, bye. Yeah,
No
thank you.
problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be sharing my slide. Okay, so I'm going to share my slide. Wherever you're watching from, it's very nice to be with you. Okay. Now, a lot of people tend to get confused with JIT and GitHub, or maybe you're just trying, you're just starting your DevOps journey, and you're a little bit scared. Okay, so I want to tell you that one of the most important things when with regards to working in this field is collaboration. Okay, and how do you collaborate? How do you work remotely when your company is very far away and you have to work on code? You have to manage code and push to a repo. So those are the things we'll be looking at. So I will make you understand the basics of what you need to know with JIT and how to secure it. Okay, so very very first thing we need to understand is that JIT is free. Okay, JIT is free and is open source, and the most important thing, it's a version control system. Okay, what do we understand by version control system? Meaning that if you have this as a text file, okay, and a lot of people are working on that text document, you want to know if something happens at any point in time. So JIT helps you to track changes in your file. Okay, it helps you to track changes. It wants to know who did this, who did what at each particular time. Okay, so let's continue. And it's one of the best ways, one of the best tools to use to collaborate, especially when you're working with source code. Okay, so yes, I mentioned source code in the previous slide. What is source code? As the word says, source code, it's code. Okay, source code is a written instruction in a programming language. Okay, so later on, as we are doing our demo, we're going to work. I'm not going to code it hard. I'm not going to hard code. I'm going to pick a code from ChatGPT, and we're going to work along with that. So source code is just code. Okay, so today we are seeing how do you work with code, and how do you work securely when it's code you're working with. Okay, those are the things that we're looking at. So yeah, don't go. So we've looked at JIT. JIT is version control system. Okay, version control system. Okay, and we say that if you're working with text documents, you need to know if changes happen to them. Now we looked at source code. What is code? Code is just a programming language, a program that the computer understands, instructions. Okay, now what about GitHub? Okay, because these are all the things that we're going to be working with today. So what about GitHub? What is GitHub? So GitHub is an internet hosting service. Okay, it's an internet hosting service for software development and version control using JIT. Okay, so it provides distributed version control. It does a lot of cool things. We can use it for feature requests, task management, continuous integration, and all so many cool things that we are going to be looking at in the course of the series. Yes, I just want to flash this a little bit. We're going to be working with this practically. So these are some of the commands that we're going to be looking at later on. JIT push. What is JIT push? It's used to push our code to the remote repo. Remote repo, as the word says, remote. Okay, that's GitHub. Okay, so local repo is your local environment, your local computer. So we're going to be using a command to push from our local environment to the remote repo, and GitHub is our guy for doing that. Okay, now the next command we're going to be seeing in this in today's exercise is JIT commit -m. Now this is a very JIT, I said, is a version control system. It helps us to track changes in text files. Okay, guys, whether you like it or not, okay, all software packages are written in text documents. Okay, so whether it's your config files or it is text, whether it's not mostly, they are all text. Okay, so you need something to track changes. That's JIT. Now commit. Okay, JIT commit is that command that will help you to take a snapshot. Okay, I remember while growing up, at every point in time, since I could remember, maybe like from 5 years old, my dad was such a person that he would want to keep track of how you've grown so far. So my dad was always taking picture. Oh, it's your 7th birthday. Let's take a picture. pum, pum, pum. So he took pictures all along up till we lost him. Okay, may so rest in peace. So that's just a diversion. Okay, but see, JIT commit is that command you use for taking snapshots. Okay, so as my dad was taking snapshots at each point, at each stage of my life, that's how JIT commit. Anytime you type the command, it helps you to take a snapshot of that repo, of that text environment. Okay, it takes a snapshot of that repo. Yes, so that at least you can keep track of what is happening at that particular point. But if you add that -m flag, you add a message to the commit. Okay. Now, another command we're going to be looking at in the course of today's demo, because after all this stuff, we're going to be moving to a demo, is git add. Okay. So when we use the git add command, we're using it to add changes that we've made to our file to a staging area. Okay. So I think when I'm doing this, I'm going to explain it better. I'm going to skip to git add remote origin. So git add remote origin is the final command we're going to be using to push to the remote repo. Okay, so we're going to go directly. Okay, so some of the ways we're going to secure the repo, we're going to do a lot of things today. Okay, but some of the ways we're going to use to secure the repo we're going to be creating is number one. Okay, we're going to be adding a .ignore file. Okay, a .ignore file will have sensitive information, like we'll say that anything with sudo, don't push it. Okay, so when you put all this instruction in the .ignore file, whenever you're pushing, it keeps all those sensitive information. Now we're going to also create a security.md file. If you want security advisory on that repo, the people that have been mentioned in that security.md file are the ones that would be involved in doing security advisory. Then also, we're going to also create a code owners file. So if we have a code owners file in this repo, what happens is that whenever there is a pull request, the people that have been mentioned here will be the one that will have to come and approve and do all the other things. Okay, let's move on because we still, boom. Okay, so our demo starts from here. Okay, so I'm going to be switching from the slide going to my demo environment, because the first thing we're going to do is to download git bash. Okay, so I have here my browser. Okay, so if I type download, so if you're practicing with me, if you have your computer in front of you, you want to practice with me, it's simple. All you just need to do for the very first instruction for the demo, just type git bash in your Google or Bing, in your Google or any other browser. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is bin bash. I'm going to open it. So you can see that you can download git bash for Mac, for Windows, for Linux. Okay, but for the purpose of this demo, so that I do not waste too much time, hold on, I need to be. So for the purpose of this demo, so I do not waste too much time, I have already downloaded git bash. Okay, so I'm going to clear my screen. So I've already downloaded git bash. So when you download it, it's going to come out like this. Okay, so download git bash. So I'm going to be working with this one, but since I cannot increase my screen, this terminal, I'm going to go back to my Mac terminal, and we're going to use the terminal from there, because I can increase it and you guys can see my screen better. So I'm going to minimize. Just give me a minute. I need to minimize this. Sorry, I need to minimize this. I'm going to open my terminal. I think I'm sharing my entire screen, so you should see my terminal. So this is my terminal. I'm going to do Control Plus to increase my screen. Yes, my screen is big. You can see it. So I've increased my screen. So we're going to do the basics from here. So wait, I need to confirm what I'm sharing. So just give me a minute. I'm going to share my entire screen. So Now I'm sharing my entire screen, so you'll be able to see when I move between my Mac terminal and Git Bash. Okay, so for illustration purpose, I want to explain to you the basics that you need using terminal, because it's bigger. I can share with you. I can show you what I'm doing. Okay, so let's continue with that. Yes, I think you're seeing my terminal. Okay, so now when you want to work with JIT, okay, and for every project, not just JIT, for every project you're working on, you must create what they call a working directory. Okay, what is a directory? A directory is just like okay, no, a lot of you are coming from the Azure background, so you must create a resource group. Okay, so we're going to create a directory that's going to house all our projects. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, it's just a simple Linux command. We're going to type mkdir. I'm doing it twice. I'm doing it in a bigger environment so that you can see it clearly. I'm going to move later on back to the other environment. The terminal, the Git batch is a little bit smaller, so this is this is big, so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to type mkdir. Let me give it a name. Let me give it a name. I'm going to call it Saturday lesson. Okay, Saturday lesson. It doesn't matter. It's just a funky name to make you yeah. So I've created that directory. Okay, directory, it's a working environment. It's like a container for storing our project files. Now I want to work with it. I'm going to enter into it. Okay, by using the command cd. What does cd mean? Cd means change directory. Okay, so I'm just going to put the command on my screen, cd. I'm going to put the name of the directory, Saturday lesson. I'm going to enter into it. You can see clearly from the screen that we are inside the directory that we've just created. Okay, now two things. We're working with text files. Okay, text files. So the first thing I'm going to do here, just give me a minute. Sorry. So the first thing we're going to do here, we're going to create, we're going to create a text file, okay? How do we create a text file in Linux? So we've created a directory. We want to create a text file. We're going to use the touch command. Touch, let's call it index, okay, .html, okay? So like I told you earlier on in my introductory session, all software packages that I know of, they are all written using text file. Okay, so they are, whether it's a config file or you're working with Linux, so it's all text file. So you need to understand. You need to really understand how to create text file. Okay, the touch command will help you with that, and I've just typed it on the screen. Okay, now if we've created a text file, no, we're not going to add anything to it yet. Just hold on. So just hold on. We should initialize this text file. Okay, so I'm going to use the command git init. No, hold on. I think we should add something to the text file. Okay, so if we want to add something to the text file, we just do vim, the name of the text file, index.html. Okay, so the text file is open for us to add our source code inside. Okay, remember we're talking about protecting our source code. Okay, mind you, this terminal already has JIT inside it. Okay, it's a little bit, I'm going to be using the other one because I know most people use Windows. Okay, so I'm going to switch later on. This is bigger, that's why I'm using this for explanation. So if we want to put the source code here, we need to put I. Okay, insert mode. Whenever you open a text file, a Vim document, okay, I use Vim the most because I use Vim the most. The reason is this, okay? If you are most of the software out there, okay, that a DevOps engineer will use, okay, they're packaged with Ubuntu. If you're doing your CKA, your Kubernetes exams, is Ubuntu they'll ask you to use. Okay, so Ubuntu is out there, it's popular, it's big. Okay, so Vim comes, VI comes default, comes installed by default inside Ubuntu. Okay, VI. Okay, now Vim is an upgraded version of VI. Vim is an upgraded version of VI. So If you do not want to download anything, you can just use VI, another command, it will still work. But if you want an enhanced version, use Vim. Okay, apt install Vim, it will install it for you. So to put something to the text file you just created, just type I, just press I on your keyboard. I means insert mode. It will open for you. Okay, so but at this particular moment, let's go to our browser. Let's go to ChatGPT. Okay, let's go and copy a source code. Okay, so let's say an index.html, create a sample index.html resume, for example. Let's assume this is a resume. So we're working with a sample index.html resume from ChatGPT. Okay, so ChatGPT has given us a lengthy one.
Hello, Rafa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I got some comment that people cannot see your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Can you check if you can see the screen now? Daniel and Gideon, can you see the screen right now? All right. I think they can see the screen because I can see the screen over here. Carry on, please.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Okay, so guys, remember we're working with JIT. Remember I told you that JIT is a version control system. Okay, version. It wants to track whatever happens in this version of this document. So we've just copied a beautiful source code from ChatGPT. So we're gonna paste it in this text document. Okay, so using paste command. Remember, this paste will not work unless you press I on your computer. So I've pasted, and we have a beautiful source code in the text editor. Okay, so I'm just gonna move down a little bit. I'm gonna add one or two things. I'm gonna change the name from John Doe. I'm gonna change the name from John Doe to my name. Okay, so I'm changing the name to Raphael. Okay, Raphael G. Okay, Raphael G. Okay, so we have our source code here already. So I'm just going to exit. If you type WQ, W will save whatever you have in the text document. Okay, Q will quit. So I'm going to press enter. You see, I've returned back to my my working environment. So what did we do here? Okay, so far, let me explain what we just did here, because when I go back to the other environment, I will not explain anything. I'll just keep typing and I'll push. So I want to explain everything one by one in a bigger so that you can see what I did. Number one, I have JIT installed on this terminal. Okay, I had it already installed. Okay, number two, the first thing I did was to create a working environment. Okay, mkdir is the command you use for creating directories. You can call it any name. You can call it website. You can even call it my name, Raphael. Okay. So after you create that working environment or the directory, you need to enter into it. Okay, so just like you build a house, you need to open the door and enter into the house. So what command do we use for that? We use cd command, change directory. Okay, so we've entered into the directory. We want to do something inside it. Now remember, everything we're doing today is all about JIT. Okay, so we use and we're working with text files. Okay, so the very first command was to use touch command. Okay, touch. Okay, now touch is the command you use for creating text files. So we use touch, the name of the file. Okay, so we've created it. So the next thing we did was we entered into the file to put our source code inside it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember the topic. We are protecting our source code. Yes. So to be able to do that, one of the things you can do is you can create a .ignore. So I can create another file. Okay, I'm going to add things to it later on. I call it touch.ignore. Okay, you see, I've created another file. I call it .ignore. Now I pasted some .ignore commands. Let me look for them. And okay, so just give me a minute. I'm going to paste some commands in that text file. Okay, so now remember, guys, I created I created a text file called .ignore, okay, with the touch command. Okay, so now let's enter into that .ignore file. Okay, now what is this .ignore doing for us? Now it's against the rules. It's against the rules to no. It shows that you are very poor software person. If someone is looking at your repo and he sees password, he sees username, okay, he sees some kind of information that are supposed to be personal, how do you protect when you push this information that we're typing on the screen? How do you protect that repo from exposing those kind of information? You need to create a .ignore file, okay, and you can keep it in the directory, the working directory. Okay, so we're going to open this .ignore .ignore file that we just created. .ignore. Okay, so we've opened it. Oh, sorry, I think I made a little mistake. I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna right quick. So I'm gonna delete this. So if I want to delete rom dot ignore, okay. Okay, so I'm just going to create another one. I'm going to touch, okay, touch dot git ignore, okay. Okay, so I'm going to open it with vim dot git ignore, okay. So we have created our git ignore file, okay, .ignore file. Okay, so I'm gonna paste, I'm gonna press I on my keyboard, okay. I'm gonna paste everything that's yes. So what does this tell you? It means that if we have all files that are supposed to end with all administrative files, okay, should not be pushed. Okay, if we have files starting with mono crash, they should not be pushed. Okay, if you have files that have to do with your software that are having the titles with .release and should not be pushed. If you have config files, should not be pushed. So this is how you protect. We can add as many rules as possible. Okay, so this is one of the ways that we can use to protect this this repo, the repo that this will be pushed to. This is how to protect it from sending. This is one way of protecting it from sending this kind of information. So let's assume. Okay, so let's assume that. Okay, so let's put WQ. Okay, so we have done some basic groundwork. Remember that this is bigger. That's why I'm using this to show. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to initialize the working environment. So we can put git init. Okay, git init. Boom. Okay, you can see that it has been initialized. Okay, so I'm gonna clear my screen. I'm gonna clear my screen. The environment has been initialized. So at this particular point, I'm going to move to GitHub. Okay, so I'm going to move to GitHub, and we are going to we're going to create a repo where we're going to come back to clone that repo, work on the Vim file, check the staging area, then push it back and see, because this is all practical. So, but I want to switch. Okay, so you understand that part already. Okay, so I want to switch. My repo is here. So this is the repo that I created for all this. Is a new account. Sorry, you can't see anything here. So if you want to create a repo, if you want to create an account on GitHub, all you need to do is to go to GitHub and type GitHub in your browser. You create an account. So after you log in, it's going to be like this. A fresh account is going to be looking like this. Okay, so how do you create a new repo? You see the plus sign you're seeing here. If you click on the drop down, you can see new repo. So you can create a new repo. So create a new repo. Call it any name you want. I'm going to call this let's do JIT. Okay, let's do JIT. Okay, so yeah, so you can call it any name you want. I think there's no restrictions on the name you call it, but by convention, it should be related to the project you're working on. Okay, so I just call it Let's Do JIT for fun. Okay, so yeah, you can, you definitely, you need to make it public. You can add a README to it if you want. Okay, so you see .jit ignore, we can, so if you want all this, the JIT ignore that we were talking about, okay, you see, we can add, we want it to ignore all this. Let's go through all the list of the things that can be ignored for this repo. So we see the list is extensive. I'm just going to select one or two. This is just giving you a background knowledge. Okay, so later on you can come and play with all these things. So let's assume that we don't want to send anything related to Java, you know, AL. Okay, so let's take Java template. I'm not working with Java. Let's say C++. Want it to keep certain things. Licensing, you can leave this blank, but yeah. So you can create the repo. Okay, so let's say we have a repo here. So to clone a repo, all you just need to do is to go to this green button that you see on the screen and hit the drop down. You see HTTPS here. So I'm going to copy this. Okay, I'm going to copy this. I'm not using that environment. All we've done so far, I'm going to be doing it in this little environment. I hope that you can manage to see my screen. I can't make it a little bit bigger. That's why I went to use the white one, but it's still the same things I'm going to do. So the first thing we did there, this is just going to be a, hold on guys, hold on. Okay, so after you download your JIT bash, you need to configure it. Okay, I think I skipped that part. Hope that you guys can see my screen. So the first thing you need to do is to configure your environment. Okay, how do you do that? You need to type JIT config, okay, -- global global user .name, okay, then in quotes the username. Okay, I think I used Amazing Raphael. Amazing Raphael, yes. Okay, so I've already configured my username. Now, let me tell you the reason why you need to add the username and the password. Now, remember that JIT is what? A version control system. So the reason why you need to configure those things is because JIT wants to know who is doing what. So it wants to attach an identity to every single thing that is happening in that environment. Okay, so you really need, you cannot skip. Sorry, I forgot. I skipped it in the white when I was using the white terminal, but this is a typical one that most people use. So you need to configure the environment. So JIT config -- global user.name username. Now let me tell you one secret. Okay, one secret. Okay, if you want to be a DevOps engineer, because you voted that you wanted this series. Now, if you want to really be a DevOps engineer, now your tests, your job interviews, okay, you'll be given certain parameters. You know inside your heart that you have to come out. You need to configure it. So you'll be given certain things, and you need to set this up from the scratch. So these are things that should be part of you. Okay, these are commands that you should know. Okay, so that's why you see I don't even check anything. They're all in my head. Okay, so the next thing you're going to configure, you've configured the username. You need to configure an email. Okay, so we're going to type the same thing: JIT config, okay, -- global, okay, user email, okay, then in quotes the email you want to use. Okay, so use a particular email. So I'm going to type it on the screen at gmail.com. Please do not send any email to this email because I use it for junk receivables. Okay, it's not my name, but yeah. So if you send an email here, I might not receive it. Okay, so if you want to send me an email, ask me for my proper email, and I'll send it to you. So Yes, I have typed my email. I have typed my email. I have configured my email. I have configured my username. So how do we confirm that these things that we just typed have been accepted by the system? Okay, what you do is git config dash lists. Okay, boom. Okay, so if you see my screen, sorry, I don't know how to make it bigger. I can do it on the Mac terminal by pressing Control Shift Plus, but on this one, I don't know how to make it bigger. But let's just take a look at the screen. So if you see my screen, the exact email I configured is showing last. The exact username I configured is showing second to the last. So it means that we can proceed. Okay, so we've cleared the very first thing that we're supposed to do, which is to configure the environment. I'm going to clear my screen. Now, I want to tell you that you need to know the basics of Linux. Okay, they say that over 80%, am I kidding? Over 90% of the servers in the world are Linux operated. Okay, so you need to understand basics of Linux to be able to work as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so the command clear, CLEAR, clears the screen. It clears it, but it doesn't mean it has removed the command you typed previously. It's just making your workspace much more comfortable. So I'm going to type clear. Yeah, you can see it on the screen. I've already typed it. Okay, so the things we did at the other side before, I'm going to repeat them here. So this is just like a revision for you. I'm going to type, I'm going to create a directory. Remember, we configured the environment. We configured it. So we're going to create our proper working directory. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. I'm going to put the same commands, mkdir. Okay, so mkdir. Let me call it. Sweet website. Okay, sweet website. So the website is sweet like sugar. Okay, so yeah, sweet website. So mk means make. Okay, dir means directory. Okay, so mkdir website. So we've created the directory already. Then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to use the touch command to create our text file. Okay, so I did it previously, so this is just a revision for you. Okay, to create the text file, all we need to do is to type the touch command and the name of the text file. So we're going to use index.html, index.html. So I think that these are pretty easy commands that you can work with. And if you're preparing for the GitHub Foundation certification, these are actually part of the requirement, things that you are actually required to know. I think it covers like two sessions. Everything I'm talking about today covers 2 sections, 2 modules of the GitHub Foundation certification. Okay, so if you're preparing for that exam, yes, today is your lucky day. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going to use Vim. Okay, I'm going to use Vim index.html. Oh, sorry, I have not entered into the directory, so I need to cd into it before I create. So this is wrong. I am supposed to create the text file inside the directory. So I'm going to cd into it, cd sweet website. Okay. So if I type an ls, you can see that sweet website is empty. Okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm supposed to do it inside the working directory. So the index.html file I created earlier on, ignore it. Whatever that you're working with has to be inside the working directory. So we're going to create another one inside this working directory. So we're going to use the touch command, index.html. Okay, so we've created it now. This is just when, if we type an ls means list. Okay, we can see that it's inside the working directory. Okay, so I think I like the source code that ChatGPT gave to us earlier on. So I'm going to copy it. Okay, so I'm going to copy. Where's that ChatGPT? I think I closed it accidentally. Yeah, I found it. Sorry. I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to go back to here. Okay, so I've copied. Okay, so I've copied the so I've copied the source code. Okay, so I want to put it inside the index.html file. So I'm going to do vim, okay, index.html. HTML. Okay, so yes, our index.html file is open. To be able to add anything to a text document in Linux, you need to press I. Okay, I'm gonna press I. Okay, I'm gonna press I. I'm gonna paste it. Boom, and our source code is already pasted to the text document. Okay, so I don't want to waste my time to type all this. So the easiest way I got the text, the source code was to paste. I'm going to save it. Okay, I'm going to save it. So I'm going to do WQ. Okay, W will save the text, and Q will help you quit. Okay, I'm going to hit enter on the keyboard. Yes, so we have. Okay, let me explain to you where we are at so far. Number one, we have our Git bash downloaded. That's number one. Number two, we configured it with a username and a password so that anything we do there, Git can associate it with an identity. That's number two. Number three, we created a text file. Remember, everything that we're talking about is actually we're working with text file. So we needed to create that empty text file. Now we took source code from ChatGPT. There is no time to type code. This is just a 1 hour lecture. So I copied from ChatGPT and I pasted in that place. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to initialize the directory that we create, the working environment. So Git. Before I initialize it, I think I want to create the dot git ignore. Okay, so touch dot git ignore. Okay, so vim dot git ignore. Okay, so I don't want to waste too much time as well. I already have some git ignore commands I pasted somewhere. I'm going to copy them and paste there. Okay, so I'm going to copy them and paste there. Let's go back to our remote environment. Okay, so I'm going to paste here. Okay, is it hanging? No, it's not. I'm going to do paste. Okay, so we have all the commands. I explained them earlier on. So I'm not going to explain again. I'm just going to do WQ. Okay, so I have all the things that I need. So now let's pay close attention. Okay, so at this very particular point, now remember that GitHub is a remote repo. Now, because of remote work, we all understand what remote means. Something that is you understand? It's not on premise. It's not on ground. It's not local. Okay, your computer is local. Okay, so that one is somewhere else, so it's remote. Okay, so to be able to, and most of the time when you're working collaboratively, you need to take things from remote sources to your local environment. So you need to actually clone the repo. Okay, clone the remote repo into your working environment. So typically when you're working in a company, you might be given an assignment, given a repo like this. You need to actually clone it. Okay, you need to clone it into that local environment before you start working. So let's look at I created this repo just for us. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm going to copy. So when you're copying for cloning purposes, you look at HTTPS. We're going to use HTTPS. We just copy only that one. Okay, copy that one. We go back to the git bash. Okay, so the command to clone it is git remote add, okay, origin, okay, and the URL you just copied. So I'm going to do Control V to paste the URL. It didn't enter. I'm going to paste it manually. Okay, so we have some little errors. I'm going to remove those errors so that everything can be nice. Just give me a minute or two. Okay. Yes, so we have our git remote add origin and the URL we just copied. So I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. So this process of what is about to happen is Okay, so I think what happened here was because I've not initialized the repo. Okay, so I need to initialize it first before I clone the remote repo. Sorry for that step that I missed. So git init. Okay, so I've initialized the repo. I'm gonna go ahead and clone. As you can see, the command worked very well. So I'm gonna clear my screen. I'm gonna clear my screen now. Now, when you type clear, it does not mean that whatever you've been doing is off. Okay, you're just typing clear because you want to make the environment ready. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, let's check that file. Let's check the status of what we have been doing so far. Now, remember that we created two text files. Okay, .ignore file. Okay, then secondly, we also created the index.html file. Okay, so I'm gonna do git status. Okay, git status. Okay, so what does it tell you? It says that we have two untracked files. We have .ignore file is not tracked. We have index.html is also not tracked, and they are both in red. Okay, they are both highlighted in red color. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? Now I want to explain another concept called staging area. Okay, to be able to help us analyze staging area, I'm going to open. Let me open Notepad so that I can use it to draw and illustrate for you guys. So let's assume. Okay, sorry, these things had to show up. Where's that thing? Okay, so hold on. We're gonna be fine. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm opening this text file. Just give me a minute. I want to explain staging area in a way that you will understand. Okay, so I have this big post-it note that I'm opening. So I'm going to type on it now. Assuming that, let me give a relatable example to explain this. Okay, let me give a relatable example. Now, let's assume that I don't know how old you are, but I'm a grown-ass man. Okay, I'm not 25 years old. I don't stay with my parents. Okay, so most of my siblings, they don't stay with my mom as well. So here is what we do. Here is what we do. So during the holidays, okay, we all go home. Okay, so now let's assume your mom have not seen you for 6 months or 1 year. She'll be so excited. Okay, you went to see her on Christmas. She'll be so excited. She'll spend the whole time in the kitchen. Okay, so now remember, she's cooking. Okay, she's cooking, and when she finishes cooking, she brings it to the dining table. Everyone sits on the dining table. Now remember that the final destination of that food that has been cooked is the stomach. Okay, so let's do a little comparison to compare food and the staging area. Maybe this will help you understand it better. Okay, so I'm going to type something. Now, the reason why we're going slowly on JIT like this is so that the upcoming topics, you can be able to understand them. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to do, let's assume that, okay, mom is cooking. Mom cooks. You are seeing my okay, so this is what they call whiteboarding. Okay, so mom cooks. Let's say mom cooks. Mom takes the food to the dining table. Okay, so from dining table, the food enters where? Food enters stomach. Okay, so this is one scenario. Mom cooks, takes it to the dining table. Now let me tell you something. Okay, until all the food mom is cooking gets to the dining table, you don't know how much. Okay, you can't track how much you will eat. Let's assume I go with a wife, I go with 2 kids. Okay, I can't track how much of that food will be eaten by me, by my sister, or my brother. Okay, so at the dining table is when we'll know if mom needs to cook extra food, or maybe my wife needs to go join her in the kitchen to help her make more food. Now let's compare this to JIT. Okay, so let's assume that's mom. Okay, no, so let's assume, remember we created a directory at the beginning of everything. That's the working directory. Okay, working directory. So we created a directory, working directory. Now, and inside the working directory, hold on. We're gonna do this nicely. Now, remember, in the kitchen, mom is cooking food. Okay, we have food. Okay, now in this working directory, what do we have? We have our index.html, okay, and we also have our git, our .git ignore, okay, files. Okay, so now, okay, remember that we don't know how much of the food we are going to eat yet, okay, until we don't know how much of the food that is going to be consumed until everything gets to the dining table. I don't know how much I will eat. Maybe it's my favorite food. I like jollof rice a lot. Okay, let's assume that is the hot jollof rice with some pepper and with, so assuming that is my favorite food. Maybe the quantity I used to eat will not be enough for me. So it's at that dining table I will know how far what will happen to the kitchen. So for our working directory is only when the files get to the staging area. Okay, it's only when the files get to the staging area that we'll be able to know what is happening to the file, that will start tracking it. Okay, so yes, tracking, and finally it goes to remote repo. Okay, so this meeting is going to end in 10 minutes, I suppose, but I'll try my best to push the files before we go. Okay, so we have the working directory. So you can see, okay, no, let me do, excuse me, just give me a minute. So at the dining table, food gets, I know how much I want to eat. Okay, I know how much I want to eat at the dining table. Okay, so now for this is at the staging area. So I'm comparing the staging area to the dining table. I hope that you guys are following. I'm comparing the staging area to the dining table. So at the staging area, that's when tracking begins. Okay, that's where tracking begins, guys. Okay, yeah. So now let's go back to our JIT. So I hope that you understand this little comparison that I've made. Let's go back. Yes, please.
There's a question that says, from a question from Michael. Does this Git bash installed on Windows have all the Linux commands too? That's a question from Michael.
Michael, thank you very much for your question. Oh no, let me tell you something. I said that I just told you a little bit that more than 90% of the servers in the world are Linux operated. Okay, so you need to actually know all common Linux commands. Okay, so but the most common one you'll be working with now that I did was the first one that I worked with was mkdir. Okay, see, mkdir together. Okay, write it in your notepad. You will never forget it again. So mkdir, you add the name, excuse me, that command helps you to make a directory. So the next one was touch. Okay, touch as in touch. Okay, touch command helps you to create a text file. So know how to make a directory, know how to create a text file, then know how to enter inside it. So guys, remember that if you build a house, you need to open the door. Or if you want to put something in your wardrobe, you need to open the door. That's how this cd command works. Okay, so you want to put something somewhere, you need to open the door. So the command we use for opening the directory is called the command we use for opening directory is called cd. Okay, change directory. Change because you want to change from one place to another. So just get used to all the commands and you'll be fine. They're not pre-installed. Okay, the only thing that I said was pre-installed was vi is pre-installed inside Ubuntu. Okay, but a modified version, a better version of it is Vim. So I'm going to continue now. If you have more questions, please type it in the a chat window and email will let me know. So we've gotten to a very critical stage of the lesson. Okay, so we can see that our files are not being tracked because they've not gone to the staging area. So what command do we use to add these files to the staging area? Very simple command. Okay, it's git add. Okay, now remember that we have two files here. Okay, so if you type git, I think I'm still going to use that whiteboard. I'm going to still use this whiteboard. Okay, I'm going to use this whiteboard. Okay, so let's I hope that you're looking at my whiteboard now. If I type git, okay, git one space small g, okay, git git one space add, okay, one space dot. Okay, you see this command that you just see seen on the screen. Hold on, it's small g, not capital G. Okay, okay, you see this command that you just seen on the screen. Okay, because I put one space and dot, it adds all the files. Okay, but if you want to be specific about if you want to be specific about the files, what you just need to do is you type git, okay, one space, just give me a minute, git, I'm going to remove the big G, so git one space, okay, add the name of the file. Let's say it's the index.html file you want to add to the staging area. You put html. Okay, so you see the difference between these two is that the very first one adds everything. Okay, the very first one adds everything. The second one is specific. It adds that specific file. Okay, so let's go back to let's go back to our terminal, our git bash. Sorry. So I'm going to do git, okay, add one space and dots. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so something has happened here. I'm going to check. Okay, now remember that we did git status. It showed us red files. It told us those things were not in the staging area. That was why we went to the whiteboard. We explained what staging area was. We compared it to food being cooked in the kitchen and the dining table. So now we're going to check it again. Git one space and status. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the screen at this very particular time, you can see that it is no longer red, it is green. What does that tell you? If we look carefully, it says that, yes, they are being tracked. Now, in the previous step, they were not being tracked. At this very particular time, the files are being tracked. So the next thing I'm going to do, I think that we've done all the basics that needs to be done. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to push these files to the remote repo. Okay, what command do we use for that? Okay, now guys, like I said earlier on, you asked for this. Okay, you asked for DevOps. So I think all the little commands, you need to get used to them. Okay, okay, so I'm going to type. Let me stop the story there. Let me type another command. Git push origin master. Okay, so git push origin master will push these files from the local repo, which is your computer, to the remote repo, which is GitHub. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter and let's see what happens. Okay, so let's see what happens. What am I saying? I'm having some error. Just give me a minute. Fail to push. Okay. I don't know. He didn't push it. I don't know why he didn't push it. Git push origin master. Let me try it again. Git push origin master. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what happened, why it failed to push this. I don't know what happened. Oh, let's try main. Okay, let's try main. Git push origin. Git push origin main. Still the same thing. I cloned this repo. Git status. Okay, so I'm having some little errors. I don't know why it refused to push it. This is something I've done so many times. Okay, I don't know why it refused to push it, but yeah, it's supposed to push it. I think the meeting is 1 hour. It's supposed to end here. It failed to push it. The meeting is 1 hour. I've done this so many times. So normally what it would do, if I put that git push origin master, it will push it to the remote repo, and you can come and check the repo, and you will see it here. Okay, so I think I'm going to end the class here. When I have time to come again, we'll redo this and see why it failed to push. Imo, I'm handing the class over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Raphael. That was a good one. So, hello, audience. I hope you had a very enjoyable section, and thank you for joining us for today. We look forward to having you next Saturday. Like this series continues, and it will run throughout the month of March to April. So we hope to see you in the upcoming sections. For those joining us, this section is brought to you by the Microsoft Azure community. It's one of the ways we keep our audience engaged and enlighten them on the happening. This series is focusing on DevOps, and it's going to run through to the month of April or thereabout. Thank you very much once again, and do have a lovely weekend. Bye bye. Yeah.